and most revered light entertainers. It was a year of appalling flare-ups in Manchester and a mad bloke who looked like your Uncle Bert.
News headlines this morning: Iraq has launched an invasion of Kuwait.
The Security Council has authorised military action against Iraq if it's true.
There is no place for this sort of naked aggression in today's world.
Go back, you stupid bitch!
Give thanks then that 1990 was also at times utterly bonkers, not unlike the cattle, or indeed our fish lovers, and our barking best friends. Speaking of troubled boxers.
The former world boxing champion Terry Marsh has been charged with the attempted murder of his former manager, the boxing promoter Frank Warren.
The future Lib Dem candidate was eventually acquitted, as was Britain's favourite TV host after a terrible booze mix-up.
Richard Madeley and wife Judy Finnegan had told the jury he was both absent-minded and forgetful. This, he had said, was why he'd left Tesco's without paying for bottles of alcohol.
Mad bloke disease also gripped MP Nick Ridley, who warned closer ties with Germany was like handing over Europe to Hitler. The popular press followed his restrained lead on foreign policy. Maddest of all, it emerged that in scenes possibly not resembling these, Maggie's great-great-great-grandpa had scythed a fellow peasant to death in 1802.
My hopes going into the 90s were just simply, let's leave this sorry decade behind, this awful pre-programmed, mechanised sort of pop culture. I think we were all just ready for something different.
So, sorry Elton, first solo chart topper or not, it's out with the old and in with the new.
We're going to dance and have some fun.
The year an entire pop universe jumped out of its tree and onto the dance floor. Oh yes, it's 1990, the year of Mutant Turtles, Manchester, New Age Crystals and Guru Josh. 1990s. That's quite enough of that, thank you. Tonight we count down the top 10 acts that dominated the UK chart that year, as well as looking at some of the more questionable cultural icons. Now, in case you were thinking that 1990 might have marked some sort of attitude change in the music business, our first act disproves that theory, because it's business as usual. Good-looking white boy stealing black culture.
Is that? I can't hide from my old self. I want to peel my skin and hang it on the shelf. Die with no pain. I got minimal brain.
The pressure of the fame, the manufactured image, the criticisms that he was receiving at that time, I think that ended up really destroying him.
Well, I think we're all aliens. Everybody's like, ah. We weren't here with the dinosaurs. There's not like any human bone fragments found in the whole 65 million years that the dinosaurs are here, so we had to come from somewhere.
Next thing I knew, they were coming at me. Strange people.
Vanilla Ice, born Robert Van Winkle, started off as a credible rap act, supporting such turns as Public Enemy and Ice-T, before achieving success in his own right.
In 1990, Vanilla Ice signed to EMI, released Ice Ice Baby. You know, it changed his life. He became one of the biggest rapper acts of all time.
And they said, we're going to create, a whole image for you and everything. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And they were like, well, we're so sure that this is going to work. Here's $1 million. I'm like, how much?
Now that the party is jumping, with the bass kicked in and the Vegas are pumping, quick to the point, no faking, cooking MCs like a pound of bacon, burning them, being quick and nimble. I go crazy when I hear a cymbal and a hi-hat with a souped-up tempo. I'm on a roll, it's time to go solo.
But while Ice Ice Baby brought fame and fortune, it also took Van Winkle out of the ghetto and into the playpen.
I started feeling fake because I was put in this very, very uncomfortable position of being this role model, and I really wasn't prepared for that. If you listen to the lyrics in Ice Ice Baby, it says, one of the lines out there says, shade with the gauge and vanilla with the 9.
Ready, for the chumps on the wall.
The chumps are acting ill because they're full of 8-ball.
Gunshots ranged out like a bell.
I grabbed my 9, all I heard was shells. You know, gauge is a 12-gauge shotgun, 9 is a 9mm gun, 8-ball is cocaine, and I'm thinking 12-year-olds.
Ice was soon getting picked on from all directions, from those who argued he was selling out to those who accused him of being a phony in the first place.
I lost my credibility with the streets and everything. They were like, you know, here's a white kid that comes in and outsells every black artist in the world, you know, doing hip-hop. So they took it offensively, you know.
Vanilla Ice's mistake was he should have never said he was street. He insulted a lot of people by saying that. You know, I'm from the street. I'm like, what street? Sesame Street? What street you from?
Shit Street, it would seem, as Ice continued to be associated with stuff like this.
No matter what happens, just always remember, I love you.
No, I mean, he wasn't very good.
Well, people always slag off in their eyes and say, that guy's a complete idiot and he's the scum of the earth, I hate him, you know, but it's the industry that's the real scum in them kind of situations. They're the ones who are kind of, go on, make that crap record, make that rubbish film, or you're finished.
Rubbish? Move over Citizen Kane, say I.
I've got like so many issues in my brain that I wish I could pull this little chip out and delete from my life that have given me nightmares my whole life. For instance, I know that the media has a way of glamorizing and polishing what it's like to be a celebrity, you know, like showing the limousine, getting out, the paparazzis on both sides of the rope, taking pictures everywhere, wearing Versace suits, walking up the ramp, you know, and it's like, oh my God, it's so great. It's not that. That is not what it's like to be a celebrity. It's hell.
That was crazy. Hey, buddy, you're a superstar. That's what superstars go through.
I wanted to escape all the criticism and everything using drugs, and I did. It just kept getting worse and worse because when you come off of the drugs, you have to face reality. So I tried to commit suicide in 1994. I overdosed on heroin, cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana, alcohol, whatever. I took enough to kill 10 people, man, an army, and somehow I made it through.
I survived this pharmaceutical barrage in order to co-present a non-award-winning cable show with a Page 3 stunner.
Hi, I'm Ice.
And I'm Jordan.
And welcome to another hot edition of Ice with Jordan.
And have a look at what we've got coming up for you this week.
I wouldn't wish my life on anybody. It's been hell. You know, it's been total hell.
Somebody say ice, baby! Ice, baby!
All right, stop.
I got this leaf tattooed on my stomach here because I turned over a new leaf. You know, this is after the suicide attempt. I got this to remind me of that day. God says, you're not going anywhere right now. I got something in store for you. You don't know how good it feels. That's why right now, for the first time ever, I'm happy.
Oh yeah, cat. Words of wisdom. Drop that zero and get with the hero.
I think I'd rather drink a pint of beero, or maybe take a walk down Southend Piero. Shepherd's Bush gave a particularly feisty feline export to 1990, and if you were a young, teenage, heterosexual male at that time, you should be bloody ashamed of yourself.
Please welcome Betty Boo.
Come and join us, Betty.
Where do I sit?
Betty Boo, yeah. She was quite sexy, weren't she?
And quite a babe.
Everyone loves Betty Boo. Everybody needs a bit of Betty Boo in their life.
Definitely do it if I had a chance.
Look, I've had enough of this.
I'm off.
Betty Boo, just doing a do and you are through. And there's nothing...
1990s pop minx Betty Boo started life as Alison Clarkson before a resemblance to a cartoon character was to change her life forever.
When I was at school, I kept changing my hairstyles, and one day I just got it cut really short like a crop, and people used to say I look like Betty Boo. But I look nothing like her at all. It's stupid, really, just stuck.
Betty's education was as much street as it was school, which gave her an early foothold in the London hip-hop community.
I used to go tagging with my brother and loads of people from Ladbroke Grove, and we used to go down the yards and spray late at night. My tag was Alley Cat. I'm a bit of a cat.
Betty and her mates formed the She Rockers posse, and before long she was singled out as a rising star of British rap.
certain record companies heard about us, and the Beatmasters were asking for, they wanted me to do like a guest vocal on their song.
Dare you ever care to play that trash? You better prepare to go away. No more tit for tat chat, 'cause I can dance to that.
The Beatmasters song, that was my stepping stone into it. And they gave me a deal, they gave me a little bit of money, and I bought some equipment, musical equipment, and I set it up in my bedroom at home.
But she had to make the best of a bad lot when seeking musical influences.
We didn't have many records at home. My dad had a Wombles record, and I was inspired by it, by the melodies of it all. I just tried to analyse it a little bit.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hoodlum, that's why you call me rebellious. You can't ignore me, but never mind, 'cause I know that I'm sweeter. Your time is up to put my money in your meter. You say I bully, though I know.
When I wrote that song, I was really, really angry with the way my teachers treated me at school. I told my careers officer that I wanted to be a vet, because I liked animals, you know, little furry kittens. And she said, oh, I think you've got ideas above your station. So I really wanted to say something about them, because teachers are crap.
Betty Boo, what a dream, and I think she did one of the great records of the 90s, doing the Do. You know, 10 years on, it's still an incredibly memorable record, and it has got great lyrics, even if she doesn't know what they mean.
No, doing the Do, right? Although it was a hip-hop term, meaning that you're sort of in control of your career and or whatever, it also means cunnilingus.
Betty Boo made a brilliant pop record there, Where Are You Baby? That was just such a perfect pop moment. It's that. It's lightweight and admitting you're lightweight and saying, fuck you, I'm lightweight, but I'm good at it, you know.
Where are you, baby? We used to have so much fun, you drive me crazy. Somebody tell me where he's gone, where are you?
Betty Boo, who seemed to be enormous for a while, and she had 2 really good songs, and she was everywhere, she was front covers everywhere, and everybody loved her, the kids loved her, the boys loved her, and then she just disappeared.
I was working really hard, and, you know, for a young girl it was a bit too much really. I had to take a little bit of time out because I was exhausted. I was quite ill from working. I had a boil on my bum once. That was quite funny. I had to go and get it lanced with my silver shorts in Amsterdam.
Arse trouble behind her, Betty resurfaced in '93 with second album, Grr, It's Betty Boo. And although she failed to scale previous heights, she was still attracting all the right sort of attention.
I mean, all these other record companies were trying to get hold of me as well, like Madonna's label. And I got a phone call from Madonna when I was in New York. And we talked about doing a deal together. But then my mum fell sick, she had cancer, and I decided not to make music. I just couldn't, I just wanted to be with her in hospital. So after that I couldn't be bothered. I've taken about 5 years out now, and I'm songwriting for other bands. Got a song coming out with Louise, I wrote and produced that. I was working with a girl band, they're called Girl Thing. You know, I'm just behind the scenes now, and I quite enjoy it.
I would love to sit down with Betty Boo and say to her, so Betty, would you redo it all over again? I mean, what did she say?
I mean, I might make another record, but I don't know.
Sadly, since that piece was filmed, we've heard that Betty Boo's thyroid doesn't work anymore. Oh, sorry, Betty Boothroyd doesn't work anymore. Haircut, sir?
1990 seems to me to have been the sort of zenith of the sort of mullet golden era, if you like. Everything kind of culminated in that year.
There was some outrageous hairdos about, weren't there?
This is the result of the poll for the haircut from hell.
I think 1990 said one thing about my hair. It was time to get it cut.
Once again, a #1. It's Pat Sharp.
Pat Sharp's mullet, I'd have to say, is probably the greatest mullet in history. Without exaggeration. I can't think of a more spectacular and opulent mullet. You had to take your hat off to the guy because it was just, it was magnificent. The World Cup of that year was like a sort of smorgasbord of mullets of all nations. Latin American mullets and European mullets, and of course our very own, you know, Chris Waddle. We may very well not have reached the final of that competition because Chris Waddle cut his mullet off before the semi-final. I think he robbed himself of a certain amount of power and virility, and I think he missed his penalty as a result.
Looks a bit like a badger, doesn't it?
In every case that you look at, when somebody demullets himself, tragedy ensues.
I worked on my mullet for many, many years, and it almost brings a tear to my eye thinking about the mullet. If I could grow my hair, it would still have thickness on front, I might go back to those days, you know. The mullet, it just is such a good thing, isn't it?
If I could have an hairstyle like this, I'd fucking go for it.
How many women has my hair helped me to pull? If you put a figure on, I would say that probably every girl that I've ever been out with adored my hair.
Hi, I'm Michael Bolton. Oh, God.
Isotonic means it's in balance with your body fluids.
Ah yes, 1990, the year the advertising geniuses of London discovered a new way of selling us things, a strange new cult called football.
About here drinks Carly Black Label.
Our number 8 act tonight was no stranger to the world of advertising himself. He sang in the street style we know and love as rap, but sadly he never really caught on with the disaffected urban youth of America. I think it's because he dressed like a twat.
Here's how it started a long time ago. The legend of the hammer and how it began to grow.
I come from a humble beginnings background, you know, the inner city, the streets of Oakland, California, and large family with one parent, tough times, you know. But that actually turned out to be beneficial because it gave me the tools necessary in my character to be able to deal with any obstacle that I face in life. Stop. Hammer time. I was a big fan of music since I was 5 years old, watching the Godfather of Soul, James Brown. I stood in front of the TV and emulated his style and his performance and dancing. So I've been a music man as a fan for an awful long time.
The vastly trousered Hammer was born Stanley Kirk Burrell, but wisely changed his name after comparisons with baseball legend Hammerin' Hank Aaron.
And everybody thought that I looked like his son, and so they called me the Little Hammer.
Unlike most rap stars, Hammer took to the seas in the service of his country.
I was in the United States military, the Navy, for 5 years. Anti-submarine warfare is what I did. I entertained the whole base, you know, whenever there was club night, and I'd be out there dancing on the floor. And also I began to make what would later be Hammer Records, you know, while I was still in the Navy.
His maritime days were soon over when Hammer set up his own DIY record company.
Pressed up records and put them in my trunk and began to go to clubs and radio stations and record stores and, you know, sell records.
While shooting his own live video, the rising rapper was spotted and signed by Capitol Records. His big break came after a flash of inspiration at an LA airport.
I remember actually being on the runway taxiing, moving along, and I just started humming the Rick James bass line, you know, doom, 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 doom. And the words just came out my mouth.
Can't touch this.
Can't touch this, dude. I say, that's it, I got it.
My music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord, thank you.
I execute moves with my entire body. When I hit it, my whole body's into the movement. And then I'll go from a power move like that to a graceful move and float.
I told you.
The baggy pants was a part of the whole performance aspect. What they did was they flowed with my movement. So if I'm spinning around, the pants open up and they catch the wind, and it gave me a lot of freedom, you know, nice loose clothing.
And Hammer was soon in a position to cram his wardrobe thanks to the great financial strides made by his new album, which in 1990 made him the best-selling rap artist of all time.
I see her face that I can't let go. She's in my dreams and my heart, so let me know.
Did I ever think it would sell 15, 16 million records? Nobody could think that, but what I thought was, here's a record that can make a huge impact throughout the world.
At the same time, a wide range of commercial activities made a huge impact on Hammer's current account.
Stop.
Bankrupt time. Perhaps not the sharpest tool, Hammer splashed out on one toy too many and filed for bankruptcy with debts exceeding $10 million. He also had half his hometown on the payroll.
We had a huge show that we put on stage. We were known for having 50 people on stage at one time. So that means that those 50 people were also on our payroll. Most of the people who were from my neighborhood who I brought with me who had no opportunities, these people are still alive today. Over 90% of them are not incarcerated. They have kids. And so what is the real value of that?
Got change for $1? I'll give you 3/4 for $1. Close enough for me. Sucker!
We got the break just to make it today. I said we pray.
Unsightly confrontations with street gamblers and monster debts behind him, these days the Hammer has restyled himself as a rapping reverend.
Working with the church is first and foremost. That's what I do, and then everything else comes after that. My commitment is more firm and stronger and more devout than ever.
We're here to celebrate Jesus. This is not about MC Hammer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm MC Hammer, the Hammer Man, and I'm out of here. Peace.
1990 was shaping up to be something of an international year of the trouser. But it wasn't just MC Hammer's baggy-ass pantaloons that were the culprits. In Manchester, a far more sinister move was afoot. The Flares revival.
Seemingly, Manchester's Stone Roses have overnight made the leap from promising cult band to the hottest musical phenomenon of the moment.
It took 6 years of gigs and graffiti campaigns before the world noticed these Mancunian tunesmiths. They put their hometown back on the pop map with 89's acclaimed debut album and began the decade tipped as the next Rolling Stones. Everything they touched seemed to turn to,
Sorry about that. Looks like we've had a power shortage or something, so we'll move on to the next item.
We wasted our time, love. A cynical, nasty person would say that the Stone Roses were a bunch of monkey-faced goths who nicked the funky drummer beat and made a load of Simon and Garfunkel records, so I won't.
You could maybe slate Ian Brown for not always hitting a note, but as a frontman, he was fantastic. If you look at Liam Gallagher, who's another amazing frontman, you can see where he's taken it from. John Squire, fantastic guitarist, Manny, brilliant bassist, and Rennie, you know, fantastic hat wearer and brilliant drummer. They were a really great band.
Your Smiths fan could understand them as well as your raver. And there weren't really any other groups that had that massive crossover potential. Stone Roses were kind of a way into rave culture for people who didn't know anything about dance music.
Their pioneering fusion of sounds and sensibilities earned universal acclaim, and the band themselves are always quick to crow about their achievements.
What's the best thing about the band then?
Ian? Don't know.
The first time I saw them on telly, they were sitting down, this girl was interviewing them, and she was kind of going, so, you're a bit of a psychedelic band. And they were kind of there was just this silence. Ludicrous as this may seem, they seemed really threatening, you know, they seemed really hard.
Hard, or just PR savvy? They began the year taking their Jackson Pollock fixation out on old record company FM Revolver over re-release material. It was the first of many record company wrangles to plague their career.
The Stone Roses, now with records high in the popular music charts, have a huge following. Today's £3,000 fines are unlikely to cause them a drop in their popularity.
The Roses' dour eclecticism made them hugely popular, but though 1990 was their best chart year, hype exceeded success.
Because they made a really good LP, and because they were a bit naughty and threw paint around and all that, there was a lot riding on them. Whatever they did, post Fool's Gold, was seen to be a disappointment.
So, no chart topper with their long-awaited single, but the Roses did stage many people's gig of the year when they organised a 30,000 set-out show at a dump in Merseyside.
This island, which is basically poisoned by pollution, in the middle of the Mersey estuary, surrounded by chemical factories in Widnes, to put the rock and roll event on the air, is absolutely brilliant.
People like The Face and ID kind of did 10-page fashion spreads live from Spike Island, you know, so it meant something. But I think, in a way, it did mark the beginning of the end for the Stone Roses because, you know, they never really had that moment again.
No, which may have had something to do with landing a big money deal with Geffen, then taking 5 bloody years to make a follow-up album.
Journalists are very fond of saying that the Stone Roses lost it. No, the Stone Roses were given £5 million. What were they supposed to do with it? They did what any sane person would have done at the time. They went to Wales and didn't come back.
The reason the band fell apart is because each member was on different drugs at the same time.
Drugs, late-night sumo, Brown's increasingly patchy live vocals and deserting personnel led to a final messy split in '96. Since then, King Monkey's tried solitary pursuits, notably a stretch in prison for threatening to maim an air hostess. Squire went folk rock on us for a while and is solo. Manny's the strutting bass god of Primal Scream, and Rennie's grown a beard. But the Stone Roses' lasting cultural legacy remains intact, even after 10 years.
In some ways, they did everything right. They made a record that was a yardstick and dominated British bands the whole of that decade. So when we sit back and say what could have been and what might have been, it's irrelevant. They made a record that in 50 years' time, people will still be buying that record.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Nothing. Not really.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
And it wasn't just the Stone Roses. In 1990, the Manchester shuffling, baggy beat gripped the nation's consciousness. It was like the North West had taken over. I blame bloody Coronation Street. Anyone within map reading distance in Manchester was pulling on Joe Blogg's flares and hijacking the charts. If the Roses were the city's band of the year, it was the walking pharmacies that were the Happy Mondays who made the most critically acclaimed album. God knows how.
It was like a wake-up call across the country that all these blokes in council estates who had been completely ignored for ages and ages suddenly thought, that's me, and I'm on the telly.
It was all mad as fuck off our heads, you know what I mean? Here we are, off our faces, on your telly, going, fuck off, and what you going to do about it?
They're just utterly kamikaze. I mean, someone like Bez, that's brink of death. If you think of Shaun Ryder and Bez as sort of like Boswell and Dr. Johnson, you know, on this sort of like odyssey into the human soul, at the end of it, you know, Shaun Ryder's trying to smoke his own feet, and Bez is held together by surgical plates and pus. You know, fair play.
In 1990, our next act's sexual sassiness, bottle blonde hair and outre wardrobe made her more, well, hen night than pop star. Bay City, Michigan, a town which gave 5 Scotsmen with feather cuts their name and begat a living legend. She arrived a penniless teen serving cakes in mid-70s New York. By the end of the 80s, she was the most famous lion-shagging women's libber in the world.
I've got to tell you, if you think Madonna is a feminist, Jeffrey Dahmer is a vegetarian.
I think she's a feminist. She's a crusader. When she very first came out with Like a Virgin and was writhing on this gondola in Italy, I thought, what is that? And then gradually she became more and more chic. People could see that this was a woman who had a sense of humour, who wasn't taking herself too seriously, and also had a brain as well.
Ching, ching, ching. Brains, balls and bras made Madonna Ciccone a superstar. As the decade turned, she cast Personal Crises and bubblegum pop behind her. The New Look decade began with a classic, nicked from a dance in New York's underground gay clubs.
Strike a pose. Look around, everywhere you turn is heartache. It's everywhere that you go.
Madonna is a total 100% gay icon, and Vogue was the record of the year. The one thing I remember about Vogue is everybody trying to copy the routine, and I think the funny thing is how many people just couldn't do it. Half the people looked like they were just trying to swat a fly.
The award-winning video set the scene for the international live event of the year, the box office smashing Blonde Ambition tour.
In 1990, Madonna started to look like something Ridley Scott did for a bet.
The Blonde Ambition tour, she knew what she kind of wanted to look like, so she just brought Jean-Paul Gaultier in. You know, the conical bra, Madonna in a conical bra is an image that has lasted since then.
That encapsulates Madonna. Satire, a really vivid sense of show business.
Not to mention shock value. Madonna's lascivious onstage antics sparked uproar in Catholic Rome and even a call for the police in Toronto.
Some people are outraged by my behaviour, but I was quite surprised to find out that I may possibly be arrested for my behaviour. You know, after all, it is a performance, it's a theatrical performance, and it's not like I'm going out on the street, you know, running around without my clothes on.
Even fully clothed, by the time 1990's Madonna mania reached Britain, the tabloids were rigid with indignation.
It really was like the circus had come to town, and every day she was the running soap opera in the tabloids. She was the Posh and Becks of 1990.
Some guys like to sweet talk.
And here you can see Madonna being taken by Warren Beatty to the premiere of Dick Tracy. This chapter of La Ciccone's on-off affair with Hollywood clearly had a profound effect on her songwriting.
You better like hanky panky. Nothing like a good spanky.
There's something to me about Hanky Panky that seems very Benny Hill.
I just want a hanky panky guy.
She kind of thought she could do anything, so she just took it down the kind of like, you know, let's pant a little harder kind of, you know, justify my love.
I want to kiss you in Paris.
The video's risque, but at the same time really subtle. It's really exploring female fantasy and desire.
I don't want to be your mother.
There's these overtones of lesbianism and slight hints of S&M as well.
This is why she's monumentally famous, because she doesn't just sit there making good records, she'll go and sit on herself in public. She's, you know, she's a dirty girl.
Wanting. Needing. Waiting. For you to justify my love.
Ladies, please. 10 years ago, less liberal views prevailed. The steamy clip was banned, but that only boosted sales when it was shrewdly flooded onto the retail market.
Apparently it was changing hands for vast sums of money in Saudi Arabia in bazaars because it was considered really, really high-quality porn.
A multi-platinum greatest hits album capped a triumphant year. And Madonna went on working at the coalface of rampant sexuality. The artistic merits of her metal-clad coffee table book, Sex, were lost on the critics, but richly enjoyed by builders.
She was pilloried for that Sex book, and she fought back, but it's noticeable that after that she did tone down her act quite a bit, and then really started to concentrate on the music.
It seems to have worked. She's on her best form of late, enjoying her music and motherhood, and clearly still retaining her sense of humour.
I never want to be taken completely seriously. I think that that's the death of anyone.
1990 was shaping up to be something of a tricky year if you happen to be a woman with your heart set on world domination. Speaking of which, a certain grocer's daughter from Grantham in Lincolnshire waved us all a tearful farewell.
I have always supported the Conservatives for 38 years, but I will never support them again.
No poll tax here! No poll tax here!
How could you introduce something like the poll tax and think you could get away with it? People realised, she doesn't understand people in the country that she's running. She doesn't understand them.
She went to the Conservative Party conference at the beginning of October 1990, got the longest standing ovation she'd ever had, and then a few weeks later they got rid of her.
May I say a word of thanks to all the people who sent so many letters still arriving, and to all the flowers.
I realised that as soon as they'd got rid of her, one of Labour's greatest electoral assets had gone. Completely ruined my life.
It was a monstrously silly act. I said at the time it would take the Conservative Party 10 years to recover. It has.
Perhaps some mathematician in the hall would care to work out just how many years it will be before it becomes impossible for the Conservative Party to win a general election.
In 1990, I was just delighted to have been a part of what the tabloids called the most evil thing ever to have happened to this country, which was house music.
Welcome back to 1990, the year that rave went mainstream mental.
The culture of the rave was recognised as being probably Britain's most potent post-war youth movement. Suddenly British people were perceived not as being very boring and very po-faced, but as being arguably the most outgoing of all European young people.
It was absolutely a statement that there is community and people want community and they won't have it taken away from them. And the police were used as an army to act on that.
The government were fearful of raves, and our objective, to be quite frank with you, was to stop as many as we could happening. I was shocked to find the disorientation amongst young people. They were wide-eyed, almost wide-mouthed, arms in the air, and you feared for their own personal and moral safety.
They're on the footpaths, they're in people's drives. One of the neighbours has also seen sex taking place in the garden, which isn't very nice, especially if you have children.
We can see the damage which is done by drugs to people, whether it's so-called soft drugs like ecstasy or marijuana.
I don't know what it would be like if ecstasy hadn't happened. I think it would have been. I think the whole country would be massively different.
Doors were opened by that drug, as simple as that, People talk about youth cults and revolution in music and fashion. That was an actual mass working class revolution. There's no doubt about that. More so than punk.
It was probably the most exciting turn of events in the whole of the 20th century, I would think, in music. The social changes and the cultural movement 10 years on has been such that it's become very acceptable. And I often wonder why we bothered. Super lighting, lovely people, and I wish them well for the future.
In the view of the New Musical Express, Belgium is one of the countries which has accelerated the phenomenon of thinking differently. What?
Yes, hello progressive thinkers and welcome to Belgium, famous for its beer, its delicious chocolates, seafood and visiting twats. But back in the 1980s, the boxing ring of Europe gave us this.
Plastic.
It's called New Beat, and aside from pretend ex-punks making asses of themselves, it did spawn Belgium's leading record producer.
At the end of the New Beat era, you know, I was making 12-inch records, the one after the other, but never with vocals.
He was looking for a black female rapper. I was the only one in the country. So.
Manuela Kamosi was born in Zaire. At 17, she was rapping in Antwerp. When her Afro-tinged rhymes mated with Yo's knob twiddling, a bizarrely pronounced techno-rap monster child was born.
She said, yeah, I'll come tomorrow. I'll write something down this evening. And she told me she worked 15 minutes writing down the lyrics, came the next day and we recorded Pump Up the Jam. Changed our lives.
The jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping and the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd.
It was 89 when the record came out, but it turned out to be a hit in 90.
It was the beginning of the rise of Europe as a credible force in music. And I think actually that's one of the things that the 90s might be best remembered for, was the fact that suddenly the pop world became much more wide open. And hey, someone from Belgium could have a hit, and you weren't laughed at.
Well, we may not have actually laughed, but we were confused. Bona fide singer Yar Kid K had been usurped by a lycra-clad miming disaster called Felly.
Manuela didn't really want to do promotion and, you know. So the Belgian record company decided to have it promoted by a professional model.
I mean, the next thing you know, guys came to me and said, hey, your record is in the store and there's this naked girl on it like that. And I'm like, ah.
Felly told everybody that she had sung it. She probably believed it herself in the end. But she couldn't speak a word of English. She spoke French. She couldn't sing.
In the Get Up video, they had decided to have both of us in there and to sort of fade her out and fade me in so as to not confuse the public or whatever. That's why you have her in the video lip-syncing the background vocal.
And with her phony forerunner duly dispatched back to the catwalk, Yar Kid K now stepped up to drive the Tronic's lyrical panzer.
Get up, get busy, do it, get up and move that body. Get up, people, now get down to God before the night is over. These aren't exactly songs, they're more like chants, huh? You know.
Not all pop records have to be earnest, excising and like understanding the music. I mean, sometimes you just want a yobbish slab of sound to just go crazy to.
Get down.
Maybe Technotronic understood that. I hope they understood that. I hope they were doing it on purpose. I hope they weren't, that's all they could come up with. So 5 days. Have you got a better lyric? Yeah. No. Stuck on this one, man.
I deliberately made Get Up as a follow-up on Pump Up the Jam. I used the same bass sound, same synth sounds. Of course, you can't do that 10 times in a row, so I only did it once. And then I changed.
This beat is Technotronic.
Okay. The hits kept coming, and while Yo shunned the limelight, the public face of Technotronic was completed by a bloke called Eric from Wales. Tidy.
The Technotronic situation was a situation that my manager brought to me and said to me, look, these guys, you know, they need someone to rap and to write, so are you interested? And I was like, okay, cool, because I just wanted to get on the mic. I didn't care. You know, you could have put me on a tune with Pavarotti, mate. It wouldn't have mattered to me.
Thankfully, it was a somewhat more svelte companion sharing Tony the Tiger pyjama duty, as the band wailed leading world entertainment figures. Even Madonna was a fan and invited them to open for her on tour.
Somebody said to me, Eric, how does it feel to be the first person on stage at the Blonde Ambition tour in front of like 40,000 people? And I was like, excuse me.
On the road, romance blossomed between the two rappers, and soon Manuela was feeling Dickie, but for very different reasons.
This is it. Oh, hang on a second. This is it. What's this here?
Manuela's cap.
All right, well, there we are.
I was pregnant. It was get on stage, throw up, get on stage, and then come off the stage, throw up, get back on stage.
Yo, DJ, spin that wheel.
The hits, not to mention the pools of vomit, dried up all too soon, and the original Technotronic sadly parted. Yah Kid K went solo and soundtracked the craze movie of the year. Eric has now relaunched himself as the hotly tipped rapper Me1, sort of an opposite of U2 when you think about it. While the mysterious Mr. Bogart still enjoys his royalties and making records, this new track marks the return of Yo and Yah Kid K as a pop item, 10 years since they first pumped their way into the nation's hearts. Naturally enough, as rave became more commercially successful, it somehow became less hip, but still the same things were there. Thousands of strangers in the middle of a field, standing, disorientated, wondering why they're there, a bit like one man and his dog.
Hello, I'm Adamski and this is Dis, the dog.
Adamski was kind of at the forefront of a little subculture that existed as a parallel universe to the DJs of one man and their keyboard. It was so sort of cheapskate the way it was done. He had like a number plate made up which said Adamski, and that comprised his live performance.
England's answer to child prodigy Amadeus was Adam Tinley, a young man who first hit the big time in 1979 at the age of 10.
I had a strong feeling that I was just meant to make music, so I made this little record with my little brother on a tape recorder.
Babysitters, babysitters! Babysitters, babysitters! Me hates babysitters!
I think it was like number 3 in the alternative charts. I used to speak to John Peel, which was quite exciting for a little boy. I was quite an annoying kid, and having a record out and being on telly stopped everyone from beating me up, I think.
Adam soon grew up and left such childish pleasures behind him before founding squat punk outfit This Called That Called, along with fellow frontman Johnny Slut.
We used to drink quite a lot. Our favourite place to play was this party in the Rio Cinema in Dalston called The Mix. I always used to take my little dog, Dis, who's sadly not with us anymore. And we used to change costumes in Wendy houses, and my dog used to poo everywhere. That was kind of where I was coming from.
Adam retreated to do the dusting above this kebab house in Camden Town, while fellow fast food fan Seal Henry Samuel served burgers just up the road.
Believe it or not, I enjoyed a 2-week period at McDonald's in Kentish Town. And that was an experience.
And it wasn't long before the two met and joined forces in a terrible experiment.
He said I should meet him in a studio in Hammersmith the next day, and he played me this backing track.
And he said, well, I've got these lyrics called The Killer. And I was like, that's a coincidence, because I've got this song, this music called Killer, and it just so happened to fit together.
So you want to be free, live your life.
I was unemployed. I was on the enterprise allowance scheme. I was actually number 1 on top of the pops, and I was getting my rent paid. And hopefully I can say that on television without some bit of vindictive little man coming round and asking me for his £45 back. Went from drinking special brew in a bedsit to cocaine, champagne, computer punk in about 3 weeks.
Communications between Adamski and myself kind of broke down because there was lots of politics involved in the record company. They were going to promote the record as Adamski, which presented a bit of a problem considering that I not only co-wrote the song, but I was also singing on it.
I think what was confusing about Killer was that no one knew quite who Adamski was. I think a lot of people thought that Adamski was Seal or that Seal was Adamski. It was very, very confusing. And if you'd taken a lot of E that summer, I don't think you would have had a clue about that record.
He was really good. He made some great pop records, and he had a really good vision, didn't he? He was like a little space pixie, really. What did he know? He lost it. And he did really lose it big style, didn't he?
He was sweet, like, but his brain was mashed, you know. You couldn't get a conversation out of him, and I felt a bit sorry for him, really.
Seal taught me how to fry an egg properly. I'm always being indebted to him for that. I didn't know you were supposed to put the saucepan lid over the top, so I'd always get it a bit burnt on the bottom and runny on top. And he was really, really good at that sort of thing.
Adamski soldiered on solo, but ultimately failed to scale the dizzy heights he reached with Killer.
Please don't ask me what's on my mind. I'm a little messed up, but I feel fine when I'm in.
I just wouldn't stick to a formula, and I like to take risks. I probably really pissed off the record company. I'd made a big pig's ear of everything.
He should have had hit after hit after hit. He didn't. I mean, he released some very, very obscure, unrhythmic records. And really, I mean, he passed the ball to Seal. So Seal came out of it very, very strongly.
So strongly, in fact, that he went forth and multiplied.
We get a little crazy.
Adamski, meanwhile, tiring of Britain's dodgy kebabs and bitter, twisted social security officials, has relocated to Bologna, where he raises his daughter, records new material, and looks forward to a future playing the dad.
The children are the children. They're the children.
Take the following two disparate elements. Here we have German house music, and here we have a Lancashire nightclub. Let's unify the two, like our next turn did. On, Rusty!
I'm gonna be snookering you tonight's big break.
Have you noticed how John Virgo's changed, personality-wise since the first series?
No, not the badger with the Q. John Virgo is actually the pseudonym for a Frankfurt resident called Luca, who in 1990 produced Germany's biggest ever dance export.
I'm very, very proud of it, just to know that just for a split second, we just rocked the world, it's like...
Like the son of the whip, I snap attack, front to back, in this thing called rap. Nigga like a double rhyme, double on a heavily...
Snap's heavyweight frontman Turbo B was originally an American GI based in Frankfurt, whose extracurricular activities included rapping in local nightclubs.
Turbo used to do this really cool beatbox routine. I saw him and I said, I gotta do something with him.
714, flying the line, maniac, radiac, winning the game. I'm the lyrical Jesse James.
Luca then completed Snap's lineup by signing American soul diva Penny Ford.
I knew it was a great track, but I had no idea how great it would be, until people was like, just going crazy about it.
I was over in Amsterdam in 1990 playing at a club which still exists now called Matzo, and somebody played it, and I literally was ready to bend down and take it in the wrong place if they'd be prepared to give me that record. I so wanted it.
The Power's success was all the more remarkable as it made it to the top without any sort of marketing campaign.
You know, everything exploded. The Power was #1 in Britain with no video.
We're playing a record exclusive. I'm telling you, this could be a #1 record. We've never played a record as hot as this. It's Snap, and you got the power.
And we've got the power here at the Ritzy in Burnley.
If the track is good and it's well received, it has a crossover potential from the underground into the mainstream. All he has to do is be in the shops. The reaction was the same everywhere, all over the world.
It just seemed to be an aerobics tune. That if you know, you kind of walk past the gym and you just see thousands of women kind of working out to them, I've got the power. I just think of it like that, you know, kind of, and stretch and power, you know, reach, power.
It's easy to knock things in retrospect when they were popular and went to #1, but the truth is that came through via the underground and progressed all the way up to the pinnacles of the chart.
Their next hit firmly established Snap in the pop marketplace, repeating the Power's winning formula of female vocals combined with Turbo B's outsized rap.
This is a song about those bad days. Start out happy and end up sad days.
I personally think he's definitely one of the best rappers around.
Here she comes.
Turbo speaks for himself. He's very, very fast.
Should I talk to her now? Yes.
As a matter of fact, I think he has become a blur.
Now or never.
Pedal Car Turbo B. He was a prodigiously slow rapper.
I think I'm like the James Brown of dance music, man. The godfather of dance music rap, man.
Somebody, I go Maya. I go Maya. Somebody, I go Maya. Somebody, I go Maya. Somebody, I go Maya. I go Maya.
Snap managed to keep it going for a couple of albums, which is very difficult within the world of dance music, littered with one-hit wonders as it is.
However, the shit hit the Turbo fan after reports of homophobic comments made by Turbo when he was manhandled at a gay Boston night spot.
In America, it got really out of control because we had all the gays picketing the record shops, do not buy Snap, and it was really out of control.
I remember he was this big guy who talked shite.
Turbo walked into more trouble during Snap's dance floor anthem Rhythm is a Dancer, when the following rhyme landed him back in hot water.
I'm serious as cancer when I say rhythm is a dance.
I'm as serious as cancer when I say that rhythm is a dancer. Well, there is a country argument. No, you're not.
I mentioned to him, I said, look, you sure you don't want to revise that line and say something else? And, you know, he declined. And if he can live with that, then so can I.
Regardless of lyrical transgressions, Turbo remains at Snap's helm, but 10 years on, the big man is somewhat bemused by current music trends.
Don't make plans for dinner.
The music right now is so complicated, and everybody's trying to put so many drum beats, you know, at a time, and so many sounds, and so it was basic. People like basic. You know, here's a grilled ham and cheese sandwich. It's basic. We don't need the garnish. We don't need the fancy name. We just want the damn ham and cheese.
Well, the Germans might have started making good pop music 10 years ago, but in 1990, where would the good old English sense of righteous self-indignation have been without a doomed penalty shootout?
After 90 minutes of Shannel, you're gonna get thirsty.
I met John Barnes, and instead of shaking his hand, I went like that. I said, I like your rapping.
You got to hold and give, but do it at the right time. You can be slow or fast.
When LL Cool John and his tight-panted teammates made the semi-finals of the Summers World Cup, they won and broke the hearts of the nation.
Get round the back, catch me.
Women in particular suddenly knew who everybody was. It wasn't about kicking a bloody ball around a bit of mud. It was about their characters. Well, you know, Gascoigne was collapsing in front of you, you know, Lineker was going like that, you know, he's lost it. And also, we nearly did it.
And England
clear out.
You're looking at a car. But with endless uncertainty over prices, buying a car is shrouded in mystery. Ford are changing this with a new clear price policy. There are major reductions in our on-the-road prices. This Focus C-Tech has been reduced by £1,500 or 11%. Delivery is included, and there's now a 3-year warranty. Beautiful, isn't it?
To be a doctor.
I was wondering how long it takes to become a doctor.
5 years undergraduate, 1 year clinical.
6 years.
5 years undergraduate, 1 year clinical.
6 years. Sometimes a dream is worth investing in. Norwich Union helps millions of customers invest.
Mum, Dad, you know I said I wanted to be a doctor?
Yeah.
I really do.
Great.
Together we're stronger. Norwich Union.
You're right. If you're feeling uncomfortably bloated or suffering from painful trapped wind, try Deflatine from Rennie. It can swiftly and gently relieve the pressure without embarrassment. Take the pressure off with Deflatine from Rennie.
Angela, do you know how Oxy pads help prevent spots?
I don't know and I don't care.
Their antibacterial formula helps reduce spot-causing bacteria.
Yeah, so why do I get spots in the first place?
Because your pores get clogged and bacteria can breed.
Fascinating.
Isn't it? Oh, but Oxy pads help unclog pores, help reduce nasty bacteria, and leave your skin feeling clean and tingly. See?
Finally, I can breathe.
Now you know how your skin feels. Think Oxy, think oxygen, get it?
Experience Oasis on the edge of the Lake District and enjoy over 100 activities. Oasis, nowhere comes close. For a brochure, call 08705 086 086.
The new Moby CD, a rich tapestry of post-industrial zeitgeist?
Why are you saying this is me? This is my music. This is free. Free.
8 tracks. Too many tracks.
For some people, perhaps. It's free. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches, yeah.
He chose the tracks himself,
Yeah,
didn't he?
no, he did, and I think...
It's free. Source cost. It will cost you not a penny.
Adjectives?
Yeah, well, he's way out there.
Is this an album to enjoy?
I'd say this is an album to frame in gold.
Exclusive Moby CD, free with this Sunday's Observer.
So, Graham, since starring in the Boddingtons ads, have you found that people recognise you in the street?
Yeah. Funny enough, Des, some bloke said to me, "You're rich, famous, you can have any girl you want. So why the long face?"
Ladies and gentlemen, Graham Heffer.
We have Milli Vanilli on the show. Right arseholes. Complete loads of arseholes. So I went and beat them up.
Beat them up? But Pete, you're a steam enthusiast. Worse was to come for the Dread duo when they also got clobbered for their ill-gotten Grammy Award, when it turned out they hadn't sung a note. Tragically, Rob Pilatus ended up committing suicide. Lesser victims were Bros, whose rabid spend frenzy was soon to leave them potless. And 5-star our very own Rubbish Jacksons, who by 1990 already were. Others wandered down the crossroad, made a pact with the devil, and remained regrettably solvent.
Jive Bunny, nice to meet you.
Of course, 1990 had its share of tragedies. We lost Max Wall
Terry Thomas and the great Jim Henson, creator of the Muppets. But no need to worry, because waiting in the wings was more than enough talent to fill the void.
Where have you come from? Come from Tower Bridge. From Tower Bridge? Yeah. Have you got a special message for the boys? Just say that I love them and they're great, and forget what all the critics say about them. They're the best. What do the critics say about them then? They say that they're crap and they're all this shit.
My dreams come true.
What do you think of New Kids on the Block?
I don't know about New Kids on the Block.
The New Kids on the Block, weren't they just a toothpaste advert?
I can't remember any of the tunes they done. There was American, weren't there?
Yes, Bez, that's right. New Kids on the Block were the terrifying Yankee Doodle brainchild of boy pop guru Maurice Starr, the man behind early 80s quintet New Edition.
A manager can ruin your career or make your career. Most managers ruin people's careers because they have no clue of what to do.
Maurice sure knew stars when he saw them, but it still took 5 years of relentless promotion for his fresh-faced Boston strugglers to boast the biggest pants in pop.
New Kids on the Block, or NTPOX, whatever they were called, can be blamed for begetting boy bands as we know them today, because they were the first white boy band, which meant they removed the sort of musical bit and just became sort of 5 boys all going like that, and then like that. And lame, really lame sort of hip-hop dancing.
You just did get the impression they were just a bunch of kind of stage school misfits, and they were kind of brought in order of height. You know, we have the big one and then we have the little cutie one with the curly hair.
I was a little goofball, you know, everyone's kid, little brother, and I was cute. And then Donnie was a tough guy. Jordan was the slick, smooth, movie star looks kind of guy. John was the quiet one. And Danny was...
We can have lots of fun.
Danny was Herman Munster with tonsillitis. But despite this handicap, by 1990 the kids' apple pie image was winning slavering adulation from both screaming girls and their impressionable dads.
They don't do any lewd acts on the stage like a lot of the other popular rock groups, and just, I believe, good, clean musical entertainment.
The New Kids on the Block thing I never took serious, and it was quite obvious that it was a complete sham. Kids didn't care. They just saw 5 hunky guys leaping about and looking trendy, and you know, they marketed it right, and it worked. Pretty desperate, I thought, but I mean, if kids want it, they want it.
Their records were so bad as for me not to remember them, and I really like pop music. I can't remember a single New Kids on the Block one at all. I had to interview them, and they were all really boring. In fact, I remember one of them said, "Are we in a place called London, Paris?" I think that was Jordan, actually.
Are there certain things that you want to see here?
Yeah, we want to see everything, but
I
we
want to
don't
see
really
Stonehenge. Is that how you call it?
You mustn't let them talk. There's no need for them to talk. It's so very simple. You're in a boy band. Shut up and look good.
Indeed, most fanciable male and just about every other teen voted gong was theirs, but they'd never again hit the heights of that year. In '91, they split from their songwriting guru, and surprise, surprise, their popularity duly nosedived.
I think groups should write a lot of their stuff as time goes on. But they have to remember, if there's no hit in the bunch, then they put the rope around their own neck.
You'd better turn that fire down, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Panicking on. Yes, okay, I heard.
They'd risen to become Rusty Lee's slaves after false claims of arson antics. By '94, the New Kids Circus had waved its sorry last goodbye.
They were huge, obviously, they were massive, but now, who even thinks about New Kids on the Block?
Well, for those of you who do, Donnie's now an actor like brother Marky Mark. He shot Bruce Willis, you know. Jordan went top 5 on his Todd last year. And Joey's also plotting a solo career, while the other two are forgotten, albeit rich, old kids.
In the era of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, nobody even remembers them.
Boy, they suck. Well, we've just about finished construction of our cultural Canary Wharf tonight, but before we reveal to you who resides in the glass pyramid at its summit, let's have a look back at 9 of the other inhabitants. Look at the nuts on that, Vanilla Ice at number 10. Ooh, Betty, it's number 9 who made us all do a whoopsie. At 8, Loads of Pants, MC Hammer. At 7, Moody Mank Monkeys, The Stone Roses. At 6, having a global hen night, Madonna. Technotronic, Pump Up the Preserve at 5. At 4, one man, his dog, The Occasional Seal. Turbo-powered Frankfurters at 3. And Carry On Screaming, New Kids are the runners-up. So just who was the most successful chart act of 1990? The answer is not a band. It's not even a solo artiste. I think it was the Ink Spots that said, soap gets in your eyes. Well, in this particular case, it got in your ears, not to mention up your nose.
Anyone can fall in love. That's the easy part. You must keep it going.
Leave it. The landlady with the horny mum good looks is not our number 1, but her 86 hit paved the way for fellow soap stars to top the charts, and by 1990 they all seemed to come from one street on the other side of the planet.
Neighbors, everybody needs good neighbors.
The soaps had changed because they were Australian, happy, sunny soaps. They were very different from things like Coronation Street.
Thought you'd be breaking your neck to start earning some money.
And who said we're going to be earning any money?
Oh yes, behold 1990's Queen. King. And Bonnie Prince Harry of Australian soap pop.
1990, the thing I remember, it was a fabulous summer. I know it's ridiculous to say, but I think the weather had an influence that year on pop music. I mean, there we were with 3 Australians, and it was almost like they'd brought the weather with them.
Any musical trivia buffs out there who wish to trace this amazing transition from soap stars to pop stars, you have to step back 2 whole years.
I was with Kylie at the time, and I'd never forget her receiving a phone call at about 6 o'clock in the morning once saying I Should Be So Lucky was number 1 in the UK. To me, that sort of sparked massive amounts of jealousy. Maybe it's because I was in love with her.
Every single record company in this country was offered that record and turned it down. People said you couldn't take a TV star into being a pop star, particularly an Australian TV star. You can't do no promotion. Now, you can't do better promotion than Twice a Day on the BBC with 10.5 million people, but nobody saw that.
Not for long. Soon Jason was also surfing the turbulent waters of pop, while he and Kylie had to hide their real-life romance.
The worst thing you could do at that moment was come out and say that you're an item. By not admitting, it just pulsated the juices of the kids, and it's exactly what the media's about, tantalise them, They're going to use the fuck out of you, So why not use the fuck out of them?
The ploy worked. As the new decade began, the Minogue, Donovan, Stock, Aitken and Waterman bubblegum pop steamroller was crushing everything in its sights, and Jason's red coat was literally everywhere.
I've never seen girls fainting the way they did for any other pop star. I mean, they were just fainting one after another. Hundreds and hundreds of girls fainting.
Aren't you dead jealous?
They got my breath and tried to sell that as a sort of page 5 competition. I think they were going to do my stools at one point.
Speaking of which, by the end of the year, Quality Control had gone AWOL, and so had guaranteed top 5 hits.
The problem with pop is you think it's going to last forever, mate. You think you are going to be in the charts for the rest of your life.
We sold a lot of records with Jason, but nowhere near the Kylie Minogue volume. Because Kylie was the kid next door. Jason was the one they fancied, or the girls, but, you know, Charlene was their mate.
And 1990 was another massive year for the tiny queen of pop, although that wholesome girl next door image was abruptly ditched for something more edgy.
In 1990, or around that time, she met Michael Hutchence, who's really well known as a corrupter of corruptible young ladies. And she suddenly, well, for a start, she suddenly got really good looking. You know, she'd straighten her hair and she'd wear little mini skirts and she'd look really great. And you'd see photos of her with Michael Hutchence, and he was looking kind of dishevelled and kind of rakish, and she was looking a little bit out of it. And you were thinking, blimey, Kylie.
Michael coming along injected that sort of, you know, spurt in her sort of, what do you call it? I couldn't help but again be so jealous. I couldn't help but honestly tell you Michael Hutchence was probably a hero of mine at the time.
Hey, more.
Tragically, too long in the sun and possibly a portion of bad clams caused pop star disease in other members of the Neighbours cast, notably Henry Aircat Ramsey. Craig was so overcome he defected to rival soap Home and Away to play a teacher called, wait for it, Grant Mitchell.
Are you in Neighbours? Here's a microphone, do your worst. It shouldn't really be allowed. Can you just imagine now if people from Crossroads were suddenly given microphones and given unlimited financial backing? It is a disaster.
You're not wrong there, mate. Sadly, not all cast members enjoyed lucrative recording contracts, though. Bouncer the dog, seen here in the infamous drug-fuelled Bouncer's Dream episode, sadly passed away before putting paw to paper or even recording any doggy pop.
We who will never again hear him burst through our front doors with his unflagging energy and that special smile.
Oh, behave yourselves, it's only a dog. Of course, if you can become a Hollywood superstar, yes, it's him in Neighbours, why would you want to arse around with Stock Aitken and Waterman? Ironically, Jason turned down old friend Guy Pearce's role in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and focused instead on London's West End, of course, home of all the finest drama.
A High Court jury awards the pop star and actor Jason Donovan £200,000 in libel damages.
When people start throwing a campaign that no one takes responsibility for, I'm going to come and sue your arse off, mate. And I did, and I won.
At a price. The Face had wrongly outed Jason as gay, but his reaction to this lost him many gay fans.
He isn't homophobic, he wasn't gay. It was just him saying, look, hang on a second, this is my private life. Stop calling me a hypocrite, stop calling me a liar, and let me live my life.
Look, it's well into the night now, and you're still going strong. How do you keep it up?
Cocaine. It was the Face. It was that whole gay backlog. Yes, it was bad, but I don't think it was as bad as the press painted out it to be.
No, don't worry. It's a scene from a movie Jason did about Premiership footballers. His ambitions lie in film, but even today, Jason's a Theatreland darling. After a decade of mixed fortunes, Kylie's now omnipresent derriere finally got her back to #1. And this year, Jason finally discovered one drug that can keep even him out of trouble.
It's called being a father. That's my best project and probably my greatest year other than 1990, actually. At 32, what can I say? You know, life's complete.
That can't have been 10 years ago. What a depressing thought. Even more depressing, it's the end of our show. Thanks for tuning in. We'd like to leave you with a record that didn't quite top the national charts, didn't even make our chart, but for me was one of the records of the year, if not the decade. Good night.